This is my new 30-gallon Binks pressure tank. It's going to replace the old 20-gallon unit that I had that just wasn't safe enough for me. And in this video, we're going to focus on lid management. How do we deal with this lid in this horizontal configuration and make it more manageable for pressure casting? My name is Eric Strebel. I'm an industrial designer. Welcome to my channel about product design and making. Just want to let everybody know I still have some of the Alfred backpack hangers left in stock in stainless steel and aluminum. They have a lifetime guarantee. I suspect that these will outlive you as a human. It's great for hanging up your backpack instead of tossing it on the floor or on a chair. Makes it really easy to access the backpack when it's hanging up like this. You can charge your phone on top of this as well. Hang your clothes on the bottom or your keys. Just super versatile. You can use them in all kinds of environments. So thanks for those of you who have purchased already. Really helps out the channel. And get yourself one. Link in the description below. This video sponsor, PCBWay's 6th annual design contest, is underway. It ends January 15th, 2024. Prizes include cash, coupons, and everyone who enters gets redeemable beans for a Raspberry Pico Pi. You can choose from 2 categories, electronic or mechanical design. You retain intellectual property rights. Click the link in the description below to enter the contest with your best ideas. Don't delay. Enter today. Here's the original 20-gallon pressure tank that I built back in 2022 in October of last year. This is the new 30-gallon Binks pressure tank. It's got 10 clamp down points and will be much safer and will give me a little bit more capacity for doing larger parts. To start off, I'm going to do a quick sketch of what it is basically that I'm going to build. We need to build some sort of an arm, a swing arm that can connect to the lid and hold it since it's pretty heavy. And that way we'll be able to swing it out of the way. And just in case, if we need to, we can move the wheel there at the bottom. The first thing I'm going to do is put some tape on the 1-inch pipe and take this part out. I'm recycling this cart from the 20-gallon unit and reusing it for this project. Let's insert this T where that part was that I removed before. Now the nice thing about having this T is that it gives me 180 degrees of freedom, so I can rotate this thing and it'll be a lot easier to adjust than just having only 360 degree option. This will give me some more flexibility. All right, I've got that piece in and we'll put the little 3D printed cap back on there with the flexible foot to hold the tank in place. I'm going to come through and tighten up this T and get it really nice and snug, I hope, and start building my arm. This is the swing arm that's going to hold the lid. Take a little cap and I've drilled a hole in here and we'll drop this bolt down through it so that the lid can hang from the arm. I'm going to use a simple turnbuckle here and a bolt through the bottom, and it's really cool. The lid comes with these little eyelets in them, and so I can adjust it to hold the tank. Let's try it out. Oh, that's going to tip over to the left. That's no good. As I suspected, I'm going to need to move the wheel out here to support the tank and keep it from tipping over. We can't have this 275-pound tank falling over while you're working. So let's jack it up and we'll pull out the leg with the wheel on the bottom and we'll move it over, and this will give us some more stability to support the tank. All right, I'm going to tighten that up, and of course it was not tightened up enough, and so I'm going to rotate everything and tighten it up some more so that this whole arm assembly, along with the leg and where the swivel caster is, cannot move or rotate. We don't want that. We want that to be super solid. I'm going to put everything back together just like it was before, And hopefully this is going to give us some more stability. Let's try it out. Ah, that's what we want. Now I can hang that lid over there and it'll be stable and safe. I don't have to worry about that while I'm loading the silicone mold into the pressure tank. I'm just using like an old oven grate. I've created some CAD in Fusion 360 of the new knobs. Now these knobs are variations of the ones that I use for the 10-gallon tank that I have and the 20-gallon tank that's going away. I've modified them slightly so that the turn down screws will fit into these larger style knobs. I need to print 10 of these knobs, and so I'm going to print the 10 shells on my Bamboo X1 Carbon. This is a fantastic printer, definitely that sort of low-level industrial that I need where I can just hit print and go. And I don't have to worry about messing with the printer or building anything or calibrating anything. It just works just like the Ultimakers. As a matter of fact, it's probably going to replace one of my Ultimakers. So there'll be a link in the description too if you want to get a Bamboo. I can highly recommend them. Fantastic printer. All right, these are the shells, and we'll put one of these turn screws, whatever you want to call them, in here, kind of like a little test fit. Looks like it fits, and we're going to super glue them in place. And ultimately what we're going to do is do this for all 10 of the turn screws, and then we'll backfill them with some resin. Now a little super glue around the outside, and we'll pop the top shelf on, let that dry. We'll do that for all 10 of them. I'm going to backfill them with some of this old resin that I have here. It can be anything, just some stuff that's probably a good year old or something like that, but it'll be fine for backfilling these knobs. Put a little colorant in there, degas the resin in the vacuum tank, and then we'll use a syringe to inject into the knobs. Yes. And you'll notice that each knob is sitting on a little lid, plastic lid here, because some resin will seep out. It's not a big deal. As it cures, we can just peel it off the knob quite easily before it's become fully hardened. Nice and easy. And we'll just trim off this little bit here. No big deal. So a little bit messy, but easy enough to clean up in this state when it's still plastic and soft. There's a few more things that we need to do to make this as safe as possible, and that's secure the tank to the cart. I'm just using some strapping here that I've scavenged from some old materials that were delivered to the shop, and I keep these kind of things for just such projects. And of course it happens to be orange, and so it'll match the knobs as well. I'm going to steal one of the heater bands from my 10-gallon pressure tank so I can have some heat. This will allow me to heat the tank while the parts are curing, and it's too small, of course. I used a little bit of copper wire to connect it and put it all together with. Let's screw the 10 knobs onto the tank to hold the lid in place, and I want to share a little bit of information with you about how the tank came and something not to do when you're building a pressure tank. All right, as a side note, plumber's putty is not a solution for air. That works for water, but plumber's putty is not the correct solution for any sort of an air seal, and definitely not the right thing to use for a pressure tank if you want to seal it. That's just garbage. Very hillbilly. All right, let's add a couple of design and making stickers to the front of this tank. One of each kind here, the red spade, and then the rectangular option on the left. I'm going to quickly take you through the process of resin casting an object in this tank. And these are parts that you've seen me make before on the channel. They're these large vehicle shapes and they get painted. They're used in the automotive industry to showcase new and upcoming colors and to test out coatings, that sort of thing. So I'm using some ROMP 3071. It takes about 15 minutes to gel. So I like using a resin like this, especially for a big part. It takes a little bit longer for the resin to cure, but it gives me plenty of time, working time, to mix up the resin and put it into the mold, especially with a large part like this that has to be moved around. It's heavy, it's awkward. So I don't like to be rushed, and I want as much time as I possibly can. We'll degas the resin here, and then we're gonna pour this into the mold itself. So probably 90% of the resin I pour in this way, and this eliminates bubbles through the funnel. And then I pour a tiny bit left in the top. This helps me minimize the amount of bubbles that are in a part like this, which I don't want any, and so I want to reduce that as much as possible. I'm using vibration as well at the same time when I'm pouring the resin into the mold like this. Now I'm adding weights on top of the mold to press the two halves together so that we don't get any flash, or at least minimize the flash that we're going to have on a part like this. Part like this cure for 3 to 5 hours, something like that, under the 60 psi of pressure in the tank. This will ensure that I have a bubble-free part. We'll take it out, so that's really nice and easy way to move the lid out of the way and then deal with taking the part out of the tank. And that lid arm works really well. We'll remove the vent straws and we'll carefully take the lid off of the silicone mold, and we can pop out the part. This is what the part looks like. So there's minimal flash here. I can just break that off if there is any. For the most part, it's paper thin, and this is what the parts look like that I'm making inside of this tank. So I'm really pleased with how this 30-gallon pressure tank worked out. Considering the price was $500 and I did have to drive 8 hours one way to go and pick it up, it was still totally worth it. Most of the work was done to set this up for pressure casting already, so I didn't have to do too much work to it. But this is really a stopgap build in my mind, and not a finished build. Something like this really needs its own dedicated air tank and compressor to supply air to a system that's this large. The cart really isn't stable enough, and that needs to be sort of widened to improve the stability here and to support everything and the lid itself. The heater band is a little bit undersized, and it might be really nice to add vibration directly to the tank. I think that that could be really useful for resins that set up very quickly to help remove any remaining air bubbles. I need to get back to finishing the order for the rest of these large resin cast parts. Now, something like this isn't cheap, but the parts are excellent and virtually bubble free. So if your company is looking for some large specialty resin cast parts, feel free to reach out and hit me up. I'd be happy to take a look at your company's project and what your plans are and see if I can help you out, as I have excellent resin capabilities now for larger parts. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Make sure to hit the bell so you get notifications every time I have a new video. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Links in the description below and on the channel page. Rock on. Don't forget to check out the t-shirts and hoodies in the merch shelf below. Click here to check out some of the other design and making videos that I have that you might enjoy.